I'm Heather. I'm a nutritionist and a mom and a GAPS practitioner. And today I just want to talk about something that it's a mistake that I see a lot of people do. It's not doing a food journal when they start the GAPS diet. And this is so worth doing. Take the extra time to do it. I promise it will save you a ton of pain and questioning and all that throughout your journey. I promise. It's really, really, really important to do. And honestly, I tell people that all the time, and most of the time they don't do it. And then, they come to someone like a practitioner, or me, or someone else, and then they're giving them, oh, this is happening and I have no idea why. And then when they're asked specific questions like, well, what did you do that day? What did you eat that day? They don't know. Oh, my daughter had a manic episode and blah, blah, blah. Oh, what did she eat that day? What did she eat the day before? What did she eat 3 days before? Because actually the 3 days leading up to that kind of like manifestation symptom thing are really important as well, because it can take a long time for food intolerances or things that are causing die-off to show up. So when they're asked that, like, what was she eating this 3 days before? It's like, oh, I don't remember. Because it's impossible to remember. You're not expected to. And that's why you really have to have a food journal, because you can easily look back and go, oh, this is this. And maybe you might not be able to identify a common trigger that's showing up, but most likely your GAPS practitioner with a fresh set of eyes and doesn't have all these questions going on in their head, and they're kind of trained in food groups, they can probably go, oh, yeah, every time she has these high sulfur foods, she's having like a crazy reaction. That probably means this. Or, oh, every time she goes to her Nana and Poppy's house, it seems like she has a really bad reaction the next 2 days. Does Nana and Poppy have like mold at their house? Or how long has their house been around? Or, do they have any pets? Or just like questions like that can oftentimes a practitioner can easily spot, and you might not be able to see it, and you certainly wouldn't be able to know if you hadn't been keeping track of everything going on. So that's why you should keep a food journal, and I'm going to tell you how to do it, how I recommend. So the first thing is you get yourself a cute journal that you like, and in the first few pages, you're going to write your current symptoms that you want to overcome. So you could probably list out 10, 15 symptoms within the next 5 minutes, but you want to give yourself a couple extra pages after that to fill in anything that you might notice later on. And I encourage you to fill out every symptom you can think of. And it'll probably be later, in a week or so, you go, oh, I also get this weird ringing in my ears I forgot about. I'm gonna write that down as well. Write every symptom down. Whether it's a weird back pain, acne before your period, feeling emotional, like seasonal depression, just anything you can think of. Waking up in the middle of the night and not being able to go back to bed. Write it down. Anytime you think of anything, write them down. Because this is important, because oftentimes we start a diet like GAPS and we're like, I want to heal this one thing. I want to heal my eczema. And that's like the big thing that we want to focus on. But oftentimes it takes the body more time to fix the big thing, the big problem. But one of my favorite quotes is, when the body heals, it heals everything. It doesn't just get rid of one thing, but everything else starts going bad. So if you have a list of all these things you want to get rid of, you can look back on that and, a year from now, you might go, oh, I still have eczema. But then you look back on your symptoms list that you initially wrote and you're like, oh, I don't have PMS anymore. Oh, I don't have insomnia anymore. Oh, I haven't had that weird pain or ringing in my ears. And you notice all these things that you've actually had healing from, and that is that motivation that keeps you going. And with kids, it's important as well, because, I've worked with people and they're like, I'm so frustrated. My daughter's still doing the self-stimulation, stemming. And it's like, yeah, but you've forgotten that, she used to not say any words at all. And in the past month, she started saying all these words. So we get so focused on that one thing that we want to fix that we can forget all the progress that's being made or not notice it. And if you don't have those symptoms written down, you're definitely not going to notice it. And I'll just give you an example. I just had our second child, and I got this weird pain in my back in the 3rd trimester. And I was like, I have not had this pain in my back since I was pregnant with Holiday. And I actually had it before I was pregnant with our first daughter. And it was like, I didn't even realize that pain left. until it came back. So there's all these symptoms that have probably left me over the years that I haven't even noticed because they haven't come back. So that's just to keep you encouraged. And another thing I would write, you don't have to do this, but it's kind of like the other side of the coin. So you write all your symptoms, you leave a few pages to fill in, and then on one page you can write like my ideal life. You know, maybe it's something like, I want to be able to get up, drink water. It can be simple things like I want to be able to tolerate meat stock without getting hives, or I want to be able to eat fermented foods, and I want to wake up and be able to go on a walk without being chronically fatigued and needing to sleep for a full 24 hours after. Or, you know, simple things. Write those down. Like, what does your ideal day look like? Because that's another thing to keep you motivated, to remember why you're doing what you're doing, because GAPS is a lot of work. It can be frustrating. It's really easy to want to quit. And so just to keep you motivated, what are you doing this for? Remember why you started. Okay. Then our main pages. So this is just a normal journal. I would get more like a diary where you can fill in, you know, the ones where it's like your day-to-day activities, like you're writing appointments in. Why can't I think of what that's called? Like more like a calendar, I guess, like a journal calendar. Sometimes I live in Australia and I get like Australian words and then I can't think of the American version of that word. So agenda, what do you call them? Planners, I think that's it. I think here we call them diaries. In America you call them like a planner. So then in your planner, you're gonna write throughout the day what you eat, and you are as specific as possible. So woke up, had a liter of filtered water with some salt in it, and then had a teaspoon of sauerkraut juice. I'm just making these up. And then had this supplement and then this supplement and blah, blah, blah. And just be really specific. I had 1 cup of chicken stock. I had this, I had that. It was made of this. The more specific you are, the better. And I also recommend you write what you did that day, because sometimes those things really have an effect. Like, let's say you get a migraine the next day, and then you can look back and go, oh, I had a meeting in this weird office that had 8 different types of Wi-Fi going and fluorescent lights and, you know, all this like crazy electromagnetic stuff. I actually had a migraine. That was one of my things. I had the one and only migraine I had was when I had a meeting in an office with like 20 types of Wi-Fi going and fluorescent lights and all this stuff, and it was like clearly a trigger for me. Too much. But yeah, you can look back on that or see, oh, you know, I went swimming in the ocean and the next day I felt really, really good. Maybe that was detoxing. Or you can also write the detox practices you're doing that day. So like I did a coffee enema or had a castor oil pack or whatever. So be really specific, and then write any symptoms you felt that day. I felt tired, I felt depressed, I was in bed for 3 hours, or, you know, I had diarrhea, or whatever it is. It's important to be specific with those things, because not only can you look back and see your progress, but it's really helpful to see, to be able to make connections of what might be causing, what you might be sensitive to, or a trigger you may be having. And like I said, you can bring it to a GAPS practitioner and they can probably look at it and go, oh, that's all from when you had high oxalate foods, or every time you have this food, I see this. I see that a lot. That's related to XYZ. So it's not just for you, it's for a practitioner, because it's not helpful going to a practitioner asking questions and then you have no recollection of what they ate the past month, or you kind of have a general idea, but it's not really helpful. So highly recommend you do a food journal, even if you forget a day, or, you know, at the end of the day you have to think back. It's still going to be better than never writing anything down and being confused all the time and never knowing if something's die-off, or a food allergy, or a sensitivity, or what's going on, or am I reacting to mold, you know. So that is why you need to do a food journal and how to do it. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward, but yeah, I highly recommend writing all your symptoms that you have, every symptom you can think of, so that as you're healing, you can look back and see which ones have gone away. That is super important. So I hope this video is helpful. I hope you will do a food journal or a planner, whatever you want to call it. And I would love to know, like, if you do a food journal, how do you set yours up? What do you incorporate in yours? Do you use it every day? Have you found it helpful? Have you brought it to a practitioner, and have they been able to find common issues or certain food groups, or, you know, things you might be sensitive to? So yeah, I'd love to know. Hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching. Hi, thanks for watching my video. You can feel free to comment or like below, or you can follow me on Instagram or on my website.